Hey guys, Youthful Yields here. It's time for another portfolio video, so let's jump right into it. So you can see that we actually are up this week, $41. So we basically lost all that we gained, or we gained all that we lost last week, and just a little bit on top of that, which is nice. Also, as you can see on the S&P 500 portfolio, if we just put everything in a SPY, we'd be down actually $16 this week. So we're above that as well. We're sitting around $9,617, which is pretty nice. We're getting really close. Not this next coming week, but next week on Tuesday, I will be depositing, another $1,500 into the account. So that should bring us well over $10,000, which is a very exciting milestone in the portfolio. So yeah, let's take a deep dive into each of the areas of the portfolio. So on this side of things, if we take a look at the weekly, we can see our QTAL portion of the portfolio is up about 0.5%, with each of those being there. You can see TQQQ barely had positive growth, but positive nonetheless. And then BTAL to cover it. And then we also have YMAX here, also barely positive. But the main thing here was that we got actually a pretty nice dividend. And then we have our MSTZ position. You can see we're slightly up there this last week, I believe. Yep, not slightly. I think it's like $85 up from last week, which is pretty dang nice. We're slowly closing that position, or getting closer to the position that we initially put in, right? I think it was something like, $1,200. But I think this is the highest we've been in quite a while. Because it's been over a little bit over 3 months. So that's just kind of confusing now. But we're getting really close. That's what really matters here. Yes, we're still technically at a loss, and that's why we're not going to sell it. But this is slowly going up and up. So yeah. Yeah, so I actually kind of wanted to also go over the holdings. So you can see here that technically on YMAX it's saying we're down, and on BTAL it's saying we're down on the TQQQ as well. But I don't know. I'm actually getting kind of, I don't know what to feel about TQQQ BTAL side of the portfolio. It's kind of a hard thing to look at, right? If we go to all here, we're down 6%, and we're up 7% here. So you mark against $100, right? And if we come over here to BTAL, we've lost $110, which would indicate that we've actually lost $10 on this side of the portfolio, right? And then on YMAX, it's not such an easy equation, obviously, because we've had such we've had so many dividends come through, so it doesn't really matter at this point. $61 lost, but I guess I don't know why it says $61. So this is another thing. Each part of the portfolio says something different. So it's $378 according to this. I think that this takes is our average cost. So I would kind of believe this more than the other page, whatever that one's trying to tell us. But $378, right? And we've definitely gained more dividends in this time that we've had YMAX than $378. At least I think so. Like, we can actually kind of come back to this sheet and take a look at that. I think we will just be able to say only YMAX. I don't know how to select only YMAX. Let's see. I think there's a way to do this like better, but I'm lazy, so yeah. And then if we take the gross income here, well, that's saying we're actually down according to this, which is really interesting if that is the case. This is saying $286. See, it's hard because we've transferred stuff around so often, and also I do think, like I just said a second ago, M1 Finance's like metrics kind of get all over the place when you look at them in different areas. So if I go back to YMAX here, I mean that's saying 378. That's the same number there. But when we go back here, it's saying $61 for all time. And if we go back again, it's saying we're up $294. So it's kind of confusing. But all this to say, I actually have been really looking towards potentially changing something again in my portfolio. Like, I think our portfolio works pretty well. Not gonna lie. But one of the funds that I've been looking at a lot recently has actually been is AIPI. Because, it's not a huge track record, but they have and this is also technically wrong. This should be 35%. So they roughly hover around 35%. And if you notice here on their share price, it's virtually the same, right? Like we're talking about a loss of $1.60 versus YMAX. Since then, yes, the yield is higher, but we're talking about, actually that's $1. But here's the thing we should look at. If we take AIPI, the main thing here, actually, I've looked at this before, but the main thing here is the dividend history. It's just how stable AIPI's distributions are, right? They're exactly the same each month almost. Where YieldMax is up and down, so you kind of have to go on those roller coasters. And for me, like I said a few videos ago, if you really wanted to treat this conservatively, you'd probably have to consider the lowest distribution kind of your baseline for income. So in this case, it would be 34%, but we probably even want to be a little bit more conservative on top of that, so maybe like 30%. And if you're going in that range, obviously AIPI actually looks better because like I said, it's exactly 35% almost every single distribution. And if I come over here and add YMAX and I go to total return here instead, and I switch to September 19th, you can see here AIPI is just barely behind YMAX, which is really nice. Yes, YMAX is technically, you would have earned more money, but I do really like AIPI in the sense of that. Like, actually, at this point, you can see it was up above YMAX. I just like the stability factor of it, I guess. So there's that. But another thing is, I'm not really particularly, like, I know this is supposed to be a long-term investment, this side of the portfolio, but I can't help to think, what would happen if we had this other amount of money inside, like $4,000 inside, let's just say we had YMAX, solely YMAX, right? Well, what that would allow us to do is, this week would be $100 in dividend income. And let's see if I can get kind of an average of the weeks. let's do the average of the 2025 income. I know this is not exactly, how it works because it's going to slowly go up and up, but let's just say $40, right? So $40 times 2 times 52. Oop. I know it's not that. Let me. So, yeah, $4,000, right, in just dividend income. Obviously, that's going to be reinvested, but that'd be really nice. Oh, another thing that is different between these two funds, I will say, is YieldMax or YMax is weekly, and AIPI is not. It's monthly. The thing I do like about the weekly dividends is you can kind of see it adjust a little bit more. Like, it is prone to change more, typically, but you can also see it kind of before it takes a nosedive. So hypothetically, this could have a reduction in their distributions, like next distribution, and it could come out to be like 20%. We really don't know that, so I don't know. But all this to say is, like, I just feel like this side of the portfolio is not really doing anything where I could be doing stuff, right? Like, the whole idea was this was going to be kind of a safe investment, but I'm not really sure at this point how much, like, I don't think it has been worth it. If you just do the math here, like, obviously it says we're at a loss, so I don't know. It's kind of hard to say, right? If I were to take that, either put it in AIPI or maybe put it in just some kind of SCHG or something, some kind of growth fund. I feel like that would be probably a little bit better for our time, like the last year, 25%. Whereas, I mean, we could probably say the last 6 months, 18%, right? Where we virtually have no growth in the last 6 months. So, yeah, it's just things I got to think about. And obviously, there's a big tax implication if I were to sell these. Well, potentially big tax implications. Speaking of which, I'm glad I got sidetracked. I'm in the process of doing my taxes for this year. Next week, I think, or maybe the week. So yeah, again, it's the same week, I believe. Maybe not. Let me check. I think some of the forms are coming out on like the 16th, so next Sunday, to like the 18th. So I have to, because I switched a lot, I have a form on M1 Finance, Webull, Robinhood, and SoFi. Because, I mean, I just moved around a lot, right? So I have a 1098, or what is it, 1098, I think. Is it 1098 or 1099? I think it's a 1099. I have a 1099 across all of those, but most of them, they're just not available yet. So I would have to wait. But once I do have the funds or the numbers, I'm going to be kind of reviewing that as best as I can without like revealing anything to you guys as well. Because I think that would be kind of helpful. A lot of people are really curious about how these kind of funds work in terms of taxes. What funds are we going to get, like return of capital? What funds are we not? That kind of thing. So, yeah. It'd be kind of interesting to take a look at. But anyways, that's it for me. Yeah, I'll see you guys on Wednesday, and then obviously next week as well. But as always, I wish you guys a wealthy future.